Welcome to the Veterans Day Affair. If we now can present the colors of the Bulloch County Sheriff's Department.
Detail. Ready? 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 Ready?
Thank you. On behalf of the Dexter Allen Post 90, welcome. We remember on this day, Veterans Day, we are commemorating the services of veterans of all wars. We remember how men and women set aside their civilian pursuits to serve their nation's cause, defending the freedom of mankind and preserving our precious American heritage. We believe our strengths on the field of battle, on the supply lines which nourish our armed might, lay in the justice of our cause against the forces of evil. We believe our determination made us better warriors because we fought with our minds and our hearts as well as our bodies. We recognize service to our country, and her cause does not end with the termination of military service. We continue our endeavors in behalf of our honorable world peace with a feeling of profound gratitude to God and the men and women who gave their lives as their part of the cost of the noble cause. Out of blood and sweat, we learned of purpose, sacrifice, tolerance, bravery, and discipline. These are solid foundations, stones upon which a great nation is built, in our continuing request for an honorable world peace. We must cultivate these virtues. Thank you. Now if we could have the invocation.
O God, eternal Father and everlasting King of heaven and earth, we render you acknowledgement of your supreme dominion over us and gratitude for your paternal solicitation and watchfulness. As we gather here in humble recognition of your divine providence, we beseech you to usher under our world of confusion and doubt the peace and tranquility which alone can come from you. Bless and protect our nation. Be merciful to our honored dead, the memory of whose valor, courage, and heroism inspires us to noble action and to the eternal vigilance of preservation in our priceless liberty and of our inalienable rights to enduring happiness. Guide and direct our minds to a thorough understanding of duties to you, to our country, and to one another. Awaken in our hearts the desire and the will to accomplish the ideals for which this exists, so that out of our determination and endeavor there may emerge a better world, a world founded upon faith and understanding, a world indicated to preserving the individual rights and dignity of man, a world of tolerance and justice, a world intent on loving and serving you, our Lord and Master. Amen.
Amen. Thanks, Barb.
All right, now it's time for the Pledge of Allegiance. By the way, if you're home watching this, you can still pledge, you know. Good for everybody. So, here we go. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Detail. Order. Ready? 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 Ready?
Thank you. Now I'm going to introduce our speaker. He's been up here before. He refuses to sit down and stay down, but he is a past commander of our post. He's been associated with various organizations throughout the American Legion, not only in this state, but in other states. Lonnie Ellis is, I guess I can call him a friend. He's a friend of a lot of our members. Lonnie does take a particular job in transporting recruits back and forth to various locations. At this time, I'd like to introduce Lonnie Ellis as our main speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Commander. Thank you, everybody. Here we are once again. Just a few days shy of 6 months ago, we were in here, and we were hoping that COVID would allow us the opportunity to gather together as a community to celebrate our veterans. It wasn't to be, apparently, and we're still making the best of it. And I want to thank those who have come out today to help film this project, the Sheriff's Department for presenting the colors, the news media for helping us with this event. I thank Mr. Commander for introducing me, and it's just an honor to speak to you. I think if you realize, I don't come up here with notes. I like to speak from the heart, but at times it's hard for me to figure out what to say. You know, we're living in a world of chaos and confusion, and there's a lot going on today. But in the world of confusion, one thing remains constant. We always have young men and women willing to step up and defend this great nation. And that is such a joy to witness. It's awe-inspiring. And as Mr. Marvin said, I get the wonderful opportunity to transport many of these young men and women down to Florida so they can join the military. And I want to tell you, I meet some extremely wonderful, impressive individuals. A few years ago, I met a young lady who spent 5 years losing 165 pounds to join the military. That is impressive. She didn't take the slow way out. She didn't take the easy road out. She took the time and did it properly and lost 165 pounds. I've met young men who were homeless, sleeping in their truck. I've met children who grew up in foster homes and abusive homes, and they joined. I had the wonderful opportunity to meet a young man from college who had everything given to him. He came from a very wealthy family. And I asked him, why, since he had everything, he was in college, he had the world by the tail, did he decide to join the Marine Corps? He said, I woke up one day, looked in the mirror, and I finally said to myself, it's time for me to make it on my own. And I thought, inspiring. That's what we ask of these young men. And it's such an honor to meet these young men. Occasionally I get a chance to run some young men and women actually, up to Fort Jackson, South Carolina, and that's an honor also. I get to see the excitement on their faces, hear it in their voices as they prepare to begin basic training. I also get to take some over to Parris Island, South Carolina, and I must admit that is the most wonderful part of my job. As a Marine, I get to drop these young men and women off on the footprints, and I get to listen to the drill instructor start barking out orders, and it just invigorates me. And occasionally, one or two of them will leave something on the van, and I'll have to walk it back to the drill instructors, and that is just a wonderful, wonderful moment, because I know the hell they are about to endure for forgetting something. One night a young man actually dropped his orders on the bus, and I was like a kid in a Christmas morning who had just received his best gift all the way home, because I knew he was going to meet every drill instructor on the island. So my job is wonderful, but I don't want to talk so much about my job, and I don't really want to talk about the history behind Veterans Day, which we all know began as Armistice Day in November 1919. Woodrow Wilson, the president, signing into Armistice Day, letting us know that our enemies had dropped their weapons, never to pick them up again. A few short years later, Calvin Coolidge, the president at the time, made it a national holiday, and they renamed it Veterans Day. And in 1954 is when they named it Veterans Day, June the 1st of 1954. And for the most part, it's been on November 11th at 11 o'clock, the 11th minute of the 11th hour of the 11th month, ever since, especially since 1978, when it officially became set for that day. Today, I want to address something more pressing. I want to address an epidemic going on in our military. The epidemic of suicide. And by extension, I hope that others in the community who are not veterans will get an opportunity to hear this message and realize something about themselves, as I do. A few months ago, I was at the house and I was on YouTube, and I pulled up a clip from the movie Invincible, the story about Vince Papale, how he was a walk-on, how he became a Philadelphia Eagle. And this clip showed him in the parking lot with his car. The hood was up. His friend Pete had just showed up, and Pete had come to look over his car because it wasn't running. He couldn't get it to start. So Pete, he's sitting there and he's looking at the battery cables, and he's looking at the connections and the alternator and everything. And he says, well, everything looks fine. Are you sure it won't fire? And he looks over at him and he realizes, you're an Eagle. You're a freaking Philadelphia Eagle. And Vince Papale, played by Mark, said, I wanted you to know first. Then Pete said something that took me back. He said, this is huge. But the next statement floored me because I hadn't realized what he said in the movie the first time I watched it. Because I got caught up in that moment where two best friends are excited because one of them was living the ultimate dream. He said, Pete looked at Vince and said, this is bigger than when Tony Pantamalo came back from Vietnam with the Bronze Star. And that shook me. It woke me. Because I thought, that's almost sad. I realize that sports athletes have our hearts and our minds as young kids. I realize we all dream of growing up to one day grace the field, to hit the game-winning home run in the World Series. I know we aspire to hit that three-point play at the buzzer to win the NBA title. I know many dream of throwing that touchdown pass to win the Super Bowl. But bigger than coming back from a war with the Bronze Star, that's scary. It says a lot about who we are as a society, I think. And I want all veterans listening today, those who have served, those who are currently serving, and I even want those who will watch this who are thinking of serving to realize and understand there is nothing bigger this side of peace than anyone who steps on the other side of peace to defend what we have. Nothing. There is absolutely no. I've held a World Series ring in my hand. Joe Girardi's first World Series ring. I knew his dad personally. And Joe gave his ring to his dad, and when I saw his dad again, Mr. Jerry motioned me over, he took off the ring and he placed it in my hand. Dream come true. Other than the fact that it was the New York Yankees ring and they had beaten my Atlanta Braves to get it, I was excited. I was ecstatic. But there was nothing comparable to sitting around the table with Mr. Jerry and other veterans from Korea, Vietnam, World War II, and hearing the stories of what they went through to defend the freedom so that Joe would have that opportunity. See, what people don't realize, and what many of our veterans fail to realize, is you are valuable. In fact, you are priceless. I learned this lesson a few miles, well, about a mile from here actually, back in 1989. I had just graduated school. And all of you sitting in the audience can get in your car and drive right over to Cone Homes. And many of you know where the old bus station is. And in September the 18th, I remember it well, I was walking from Cone Homes with my dad up to the bus station. We were going there so I could leave and go to boot camp in the Marine Corps at Parris Island. My dad said something to me then that didn't strike me the way it does now, because I didn't understand what he was saying. He said, "Boy, you don't have to be a hero." And I thought, that's powerful. That's the most powerful statement I'd ever heard from my dad, actually. He was a 9th grade dropout. I never expected to hear anything from my dad on that level. See, my dad was telling me I was valuable. All I heard was, "Hey, come home. Come home safely." You don't have to impress anybody. You don't have to run out there in the heat of battle. You don't have to do all of these things just because you saw it on TV. Just come home safely. My dad was telling me I was valuable. He was telling me I was priceless. And there's a lot of you veterans out there who have experienced the same thing that I have experienced. Many of you have experienced things far worse than I have experienced. You've watched your friends die. I've had friends that died, but you've actually watched them. You've held them. You've lost arms. You've lost legs. You've suffered the emotional traumas. And you struggle with it. And the demons rage in your mind. You battle them constantly, day in and day out. You have other struggles. You have family struggles. You don't know how to cope at times when you get back home. It seems all hope is lost. You don't know how to talk to your wife or your friends. You don't know how to react to your children. You need a moment of peace. You need quiet. You see a system of leadership failing you. Some of you get out and you try to go to the VA, and you see the system failing you, and you see it failing others. And you get angry, and you get upset, and you get hurt, and you get confused and confounded because you know you deserve better. See, you know you are valuable. You know you are priceless. You heard the same things from your families I heard from my father. Be safe. Come home. We love you. We need you. We want you. You feel cheated at times. You feel as if the world doesn't care. Nothing could be further from the truth. The same military that welcomed you in with open arms to defend this nation still needs you now. We need you to be strong. We need you to reach out. We need you to seek help, to ask. We need you to lift up others when you're feeling a bit stronger. We need you to hold firm that one day all will be right. It doesn't happen overnight. Our system fails us because we are fallible people. We want to do the best. We want to give you the best. We want to give you hope. We want to help you overcome the struggles that you're going through. But we fail because we are fallible. But that doesn't mean you're any less valuable. It doesn't mean you're any less priceless. Unlike a painting or a great work of art, when you feel broken, you don't lose your value. You are still somebody important. You're important to your friends, your family. You're important to your community. You make us whole. And when you hurt, we hurt. And if we lose you, God forbid, we lose a great part of us. There is nothing that you can go through that makes you lose your value. There's nothing that you can undergo that keeps you from being priceless. And we need you to recognize that. Not even the demons fighting within your mind to hold you down, to pull you under, to put that burden on your shoulder, to weigh you down to where it feels as though you cannot pull yourself up. You are still priceless. You are still valuable. So I ask you all to realize this. Realize what your family members have said to you. You're valuable. You're valuable. You were valuable the day you came into this world. In fact, you were valuable the moment they realized that you would be coming into this world. The moment the doctor told them that you would be born, you took on value at that time. And you realized that value yourself when you put on the uniform and you answered the call and you raised your right hand and said, I solemnly swear to uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States of America. When you took the oath, you realized your value. And when you stepped on the battlefield, you realized the value. You realized you were priceless because you said to your comrades, I am willing to lay down my life for you. I'm willing to die for you. And they said the same to you. And it was a bond. And you realized it. And they realized it. You both realized the value that you had and the pricelessness that each of you held. And nothing changes that. So when the world gets you down and you're feeling overwhelmed, and this is for all veterans, from World War II, from Korea, from Vietnam, Iraq, Afghanistan, Panama, the Persian Gulf, Grenada, Lebanon, Beirut. I can list them. I can list them all. This is for all veterans. Know your value. Know that you are priceless. Know that we need you, now and forever. And thank you so much for your service to this great nation. You keep us looking forward to a better tomorrow. You ensure that we are free, that we have the opportunity to do better, to be better, to be greater. And I was inspired yesterday when I got on Facebook and I saw this young man with Down syndrome. And his name was Chris Nikic. I assume that's how you pronounce it, but he became the first person ever with Down syndrome to run an Ironman. 2.4 miles swimming, 26.4 miles running, and a little over 100 something miles biking. And his motto was 1% better. And it inspired me. And you veterans on this stage here, out there in the camera, you give us an opportunity to be 1% better every day. And we thank you for it. We thank you for your service. We thank you for your continued service to the community, to the state and nation. We ask that you reach out and that you remember that you are valuable, that you are priceless, and you seek help, and you give us an opportunity to build you back up, to restore the hope, and to give peace to you and bring safe you out of the storms that you face in this life. As I prepare to close today, I want to say to my Marine Corps brothers and sisters, happy birthday. Tomorrow is the 245th birthday of the United States Marine Corps. As many of you know, we were founded in a tavern. We will be partying it up tomorrow. So thank you for your service, Marines. And with that, I'd like to add a special thanks to my comrade, Mr. Marvin Grimm, who was a Navy medic during Vietnam, working on Marines. He received 2 Purple Hearts while working on Marines. So a wonderful happy birthday to you also, my friend. I'll raise a glass to you tomorrow. And we thank you once again for being here, for supporting us, for being a wonderful community. Next May, I promise I won't be back up here speaking. You've had enough of me for a lifetime. I've already procured a card for someone else to speak next year. So get one good last look, and we wish the best for the remainder of this year for you and your family and for our great nation. Thank you very much. God bless.
It's not bad. We don't even have to pay them. But anyhow, you know, not only was the birthdays going up for the Marine Corps. I don't know if anyone remember in 1989, today, November 9th, Ronald Reagan made a statement, Gorbachev, take that wall down. And I thought that was a very significant point. Lonnie, I do want to thank you. That kind of concludes our program. But in closing, in time of peace, we can use the ennobling virtues of war and put behind us the ugliness and suffering. In peace, we shall go forward together to scale new heights of achievements and unity of purpose. In sacrifice for the common good, in tolerance for those of different faiths and creeds, in bravery to fight for social and economic gains, and in the discipline of good citizenship, we shall move forward to the sight of God as a strong nation in a peaceful world. And on behalf of the Dexter Allen Post, I want to thank everyone. I want to thank the Averitt Center for allowing us to be here. They every year they open their arms up. I want to thank the Bulloch County Sheriff's Department for doing the color guard. Again, you guys do a great job. I should say everybody. And Bob, I want to thank you for all that you do. If we could have our closing prayer now, Barb. Oh, Joyner Anderson. Can't forget them. They're always there to help and do stuff. Okay. Barb, thank you.
Please stand. Almighty and eternal God, who has created men in your own image, we stand in humble gratitude for all the mercies you have ordained to rest upon us. We thank you for these United States in which we live, for those ideals of freedom, justice, and democracy that have made them a shining star in the galaxy of nations. Grant us fearlessly to contend against those things that would undermine our heritage as Americans. Grant us grace to make no peace with oppression, no compromise with evil, no yielding with godless philosophies. May we reverently use our freedom and help us to employ it in the maintenance of justice among men and nations, to the glory of your holy name. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara. That concludes our event. Again, I want to thank everyone who has participated. Without your help, these kind of things cannot happen. And Lonnie was correct. You know, veterans served then are still serving today in their communities, their churches, organizations. We love it. Thank you. Do you have anything you want to say? That concludes our event. I appreciate the audience for being so quiet. Okay, thank you.